Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, we'll look at common impedance measurement methods, including Shunt-Thru, one-port, impedance adapters, Series-Thru, and several additional methods for special measurement cases. We'll also cover the basic theory of impedance and explain how real capacitors behave due to parasitic effects such as ESR and ESL. In this diagram, the y-axis shows the impedance range, and the x-axis shows the frequency range. The diagram also indicates which measurement method is best suited for each part of that range. Please note that the Bode 100 covers frequencies from 1 Hz to 50 MHz, while the Bode 500 extends from 10 MHz up to 450 MHz. With that in mind, let's go through the different methods one by one. Let's start with the Shunt-Thru method. This method is mainly used for very low impedances. The recommended measurement range is approximately 1 milliohm to 100 ohms. At low frequencies, common mode errors can limit the measurement. This is especially relevant from very low frequencies up to around 100 kHz. To reduce this effect, you can use products such as the Omicron Lab BLCM or various picotest accessories. These help improve measurement accuracy when working with very low impedances. The one-port method is a good choice for simple impedance measurements. The recommended measurement range is approximately 500 milliohms to 100 kiloohms. So, if you need a straightforward setup for general purpose impedance measurements, the one-port method is often a very good starting point. Now let's move on to the impedance adapters, such as the BWIC and the BSMC. These adapters cover a wide measurement range from roughly 20 milliohms to 600 kiloohms up to 50 MHz. Their main advantage is that they use both input channels of the Bode device, which allows for a wider measurement range than the one-port method. For fast and reliable measurements of SMD and through-hole components, this is a recommended solution. Finally, let's look at the Series-Thru method. The Series-Thru method is mainly used for higher impedance measurements. Its recommended measurement range is approximately 1 kiloohm to 10 kiloohms. This makes it a useful method when the DUT has a relatively high impedance. There are also a few additional measurement methods that can be useful in special cases. First, let's look at the extended Shunt-Thru with series resistance. By adding series resistors, the recommended measurement range shifts toward a higher impedance values. These resistors also divide DC voltage. So, if you want to measure active or charged devices, they provide some additional protection for the Bode. Next is voltage or current gain. Here, the measurable impedance range depends mainly on two factors: the sensitivity of the probes and the amplitude of the AC signal. Finally, there is the external bridge method. In this case, impedance is measured using a custom bridge setup. Now let's measure a capacitor. I'll measure a polypropylene capacitor, the WCAP FTXX. For this measurement, I'll use a BWIC test fixture, since the expected impedance range fits well within the BWIC measurement range, and the fixture is designed for this type of measurement. Now that the measurement method has been selected, let us briefly look at what we actually expect from a real capacitor. A real capacitor does not behave ideally over the entire frequency range. Two important non-ideal properties are ESR and ESL. ESR, or also known as equivalent series resistance, can be represented as a small resistor in series with the ideal capacitor. It causes additional power loss, reduced efficiency, and heating, especially in high current or high frequency applications. The ESR value can be measured with the Bode Analyzer, and in some cases it is also specified in the datasheet. The second effect is ESL, or equivalent series inductance. It comes from the capacitor leads and internal structure, which behave like a very small inductor. At high frequencies, this inductance becomes important, and the capacitor may start to behave inductively instead of capacitively. And this is exactly what we observe in the measurement. At low frequencies, the capacitor behaves capacitively. Around the resonant frequency, the impedance reaches its minimum and is mainly determined by ESR. At higher frequencies, the ESL takes over, and the component shows inductive behavior. The phase plot makes the transition very clear. Below resonance, the phase is close to minus 90 degrees, so the component behaves capacitively. At resonance, the phase crosses 0 degrees, meaning the reactive parts cancel and the impedance is mainly resistive. Above resonance, the phase becomes positive and moves toward plus 90 degrees, indicating inductive behavior caused by ESL. Now you have an overview of the most important impedance measurement methods and key things to consider when choosing the right setup. If you'd like to learn more, take a look at our other videos and check out our application notes on our website.